Welcome back to the Eldritch Stronghold. I'm Mitchell, or Guru you knew, and this is the Evereth Viceroy of Plunder, Deck Sesh. So Evereth is a new commander from the new Standard Legal Set Foundation. My bad. The Foundation's Jumpstart set. She is a 3 mana, 2 colorless and a black, 2/2 vampire soldier. She has flying. Her ability reads: sacrifice another creature or artifact, put a +1/+1 counter on Evereth. If the sacrifice permanent was a treasure, Evereth gains lifelink until end turn. Activate only as a sorcery. So it's not instant speed sack, so you can't do this in response to things, but a free sack outlet is a free sack outlet. The bottom part of the card reads: when Evereth dies, you may pay one in black or one red. When you do, Evereth deals damage equal to her power to each opponent. It's really cool that it's each opponent, and note the fact that it says she deals the damage, so if she gains the lifelink from the top ability, you're going to be gaining a lot of life as well. So the first category we're going to get into is +1/+1 counters. These are cards that are just going to add more +1/+1 counters to her, obviously, and just get that number pumped up so you can deal more damage. The first one is an old one that I used to play in my Marches of the Black Rose deck. It's Unspeakable Symbol. For a colorless and 2 black, it's an enchantment. You pay 3 life. You put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. 3 life does add up quite a lot, but putting a +1/+1 counter on your commander, eventually giving her life link, you're going to gain a lot of that life back. The next card is Asteron's Thirst. 4 colorless and a black. For an instant, you exile target creature. Then you put X +1/+1 counters on a commander creature you control, where X is the power that the creature exiled this way. It's expensive removal, but it is an exile removal, and it's going to pump your commander up. Somebody's got a 10/10, exile it, and then you're getting 10 +1/+1 counters in commander. It's going to add up. Next 2 cards we're going to talk about are very similar, but they're different in ways. The first card we're going to talk about is Blade of the Blood Chief. It's a 1-cost equipment artifact. It equips for 1. Whenever a creature dies, you put a +1/+1 counter on equipped creature. If the creature is a vampire, you put 2 +1/+1 counters on it instead. We're not rolling with the vampire part about it, but whenever a creature dies, either side of the field, you're putting a +1/+1 counter on your commander. So if you use your commander to sack a creature, you're getting 2 +1/+1 counters out of that deal. So the next card is very similar. 1 colorless for another equipment that equips for 2, and that's Tyrion's Soul Cleaver. It's a legendary artifact. The equipped creature has Vigilance, and then whenever another creature or artifact or creature, either way, is put into the graveyard from the battlefield, you put a +1/+1 counter on an equipped creature. So this is either your treasures, your foods, whatever artifact you have going to the graveyard, or whatever creature. And this is creature tokens as well, because they do hit the graveyard before they disappear completely. So this will pump up your commander's count pretty significantly. The next card we'll be talking about is a bit of a lie, because it's not +1/+1 counters, but it does have to do with bumping up her power, and that's Bulk Up. It's actually a card from Foundation itself. It's 1 colorless and a red, and you just, for an instant, you double target creature's power until the end of the turn. It also has flashback, so this is nice just to throw in as soon as your commander's about to die. Double the power real fast. This could definitely end the game. So we're going to move on to the next category. Next, we're going to be talking about treasures. We're going to be trying to make as many as we can, because it is going to be the main theme of the deck. The other theme of the deck will be creature tokens, and we'll get to that a little later. The first card we'll talk about is Descent into Avernus. It's an enchantment. It costs 4 colorless and a red. At the beginning of your upkeep, you put 2 Descent counters on Descent into Avernus. Then each player creates X treasure tokens, and Descent deals X damage to each player, where X is the number of Descent counters on this. Pretty unique enchantment. It's definitely going to kill people fast, deal a lot of damage, but it's going to give people a lot of mana. Does usually get removed, or at least on the boards I play on, but it's a super fun card. It'll make you a lot of treasures. Revel in Riches. Whenever a creature, this is another enchantment, 4 colorless and a black. Whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, you create a colorless treasure artifact creature token. Then, not an artifact creature token, sorry about that. And at the beginning of your upkeep, if you control 10 or more treasures, you win the game. It's easy win con to achieve in the deck. Getting treasures other ways, you don't necessarily have to get treasures from this enchantment. This works pretty good in Commander because you have other opponents trying to kill everybody else's stuff. So yeah, it's definitely a backup win condition and a treasure producer. Next card is Mahadi. For 1 colorless, a black, and a red, you get a legendary creature, Cat Devil. It's a 3/3. At the beginning of your end step, you create a treasure token for each creature that died this turn. You're gonna be sacking creatures yourself. If anything else dies at the beginning of your end step, you're gonna get that many treasures. It's a way to pretty much replace the creatures you just sacrificed with other things you can sacrifice. Oops, I said that the Descent was a 5 cost. I meant to say that it was just a 3 cost. That's my bad, so it's even better. Next card is Zorn, 2 colorless and a red. For a 3/2 elemental, if you would create 1 or more treasure tokens, instead create those tokens plus an additional treasure token. So you're just doubling up on your treasure tokens. It doesn't actually make treasure tokens itself, but it helps you build up your wealth even more. Next card is pretty similar, Academy Manufacturer, 3 colors for 1/3. If you would create a clue, food, or treasure token, instead you create 1 of each. So every time you create 1 of these treasures, you can get a treasure, food, and clue. You're not going to use the food and clues for much else. Maybe you'll use it for the draw and the gain life, but you'll mainly use them for sacrificing to your commander's ability. And that'll be it for the treasure portion. Next category is creature tokens. This will be the other half of the theme, so it'll be treasures and creatures mostly, but we do try to make as many more treasures as we can because they can be used as mana and other things, and you do need to leave at least 2 mana open for her bottom ability, and then also treasures help give her lifelink, so we prioritize the treasures over the creature tokens, but you definitely do have to have the creatures. First card is Ghoulcaller Gissa, 3 colorless and 2 black for a 3/4 human wizard. Pay 1 black, tap her, sacrifice another creature, and you create X 2/2 black zombie creature tokens where X is sacrifice creature's power. This comes double handy as making other creature tokens for your commander, but also you need a way to get rid of your commander because you can't just rely on your opponents doing that. So Ghoulcaller Gissa is a way to sacrifice your commander and use her ability and be able to use your commander's ability whenever you want. And also your commander will just be really big, so this is going to make a crap ton of zombies to use to sacrifice the next time you have a commander. Next card is Song of Totentans, X and a red for sorcery. You pay X and you get that many 1/1 black rat creature tokens. They can't block, but creatures you control gain haste. Pump as much mana as you can out of this. Attack with the rats if you can get through for a little bit of poke damage, and then sack them away to your commander. Next card is really cool. It's Elemental Mastery, 3 colorless and a red for an aura. You enchant creature, and the enchanted creature has tap, create X 1/1 red elemental creature tokens with haste, where X is the creature's power, and then you exile them. Commander is going to be a 12/12. You equip her with this, tap her, you're getting that many elementals. They have haste. You can attack somebody with 12 hasty boys, do some poke damage. They're going to leave at the end turn, so just clean them up at the end step by sacking them all to your commander. Next card we're talking about is one of my favorites. I usually like to put it in my sack decks. It's Edric Sar. He's the Master Breeder. He's 4 colorless and a black for a 2/2 human wizard. Whenever you cast a creature spell, create X 1/1 black thaw creature tokens where X is that spell's mana value. When you control 7 or more thralls, you sacrifice Edric. You're going to be sacrificing these tokens pretty much as soon as you get them, unless you need them for blockers or you want to attack with them. So you cast the 5 mana spell, creature spell, you're going to get 5 tokens. You're probably just going to sack them right away. You should be able to stay under that 7 threshold for a while to keep this thing around as long as possible. Last card is a Ferriomancer, 2 colorless and a black for a 2/2 human shaman. At the beginning of each upkeep, if you control no snakes, you create a 1/1 black snake creature token with dead touch. when I made this deck, I was like, "Ooh, this is perfect." You know, let your opponent make the snake, sack it to your commander. Your opponent make a snake, you sack it, repeat. You can't, since the commander's ability is only at sorcerer speed. So this is only going to be beneficial to you for the sack reason on your upkeep. But having a Death Touch Snake on each one of your opponent's turn will deter attacks. At least, you know, a 1/1 Death Touch Snake is going to take down anything. So it's not as good as it could be, but it's still pretty good. And that'll wrap it up for this category. Next category is damage triggers. So these are the other cards that are just going to help poke along until your opponents are dead. The first card is Mayhem Devil. 1 colorless, a black and a red for a 3/3 devil. Whenever a player sacrifices a permanent, this deals 1 damage to any target. This dude's really cool. It's any target, which is dope. And then it deals, then when any player sacrifices a permanent, everybody uses treasures, foods, yada yada yada. So this thing's going to get a lot of triggers, but it'll probably be removed pretty fast. As probably any of these cards in this category. Next card is Reckless Fireweaver. 1 colorless and a red for a 1/3 human artificer. Whenever an artifact enters the battlefield under your control, Reckless Fireweaver deals 1 damage to each opponent. Cool things about this one is each opponent, and it's whenever an artifact enters the battlefield. So you're creating treasures or art. I don't think, at least not in this build, there's a artifact creature token, but there's a lot of artifacts, foods, and treasures. You have this thing out there with the Academy manufacturer, and it's a bolt every single time you make a treasure. Next card is Marionette Apprentice. It's a new-ish card. It's 1 black and 1 colorless for a 1/2 human artificer. Has Fabricate 1, so when it enters, you can give it a +1/+1 counter or make it an artifact creature token. Oh, right there. See, just ate my words right there. The last card does make an artifact creature token, or this card makes an artifact creature token to trigger the Reckless Fireweaver. So I guess I was wrong with that. We do make a couple artifact creature tokens in this deck. Next part of the card is whenever another creature or artifact you control is put into the graveyard from the battlefield, each opponent loses 1 life. So each time you sacrifice something to your commander, this is going to ping them. It's kind of like a Blood Artist, but it works for artifacts as well, and it's lost life, not damage dealt. The Master of the Marionettes, 4 color, 2 black, 1/3 human artificer. This has Fabricate 3, so you can have 3 artifact creature tokens come in and trigger the Reckless Fireweaver. Or you can have her come in with 3 +1/+1 counters. You're mostly going to pick the 3 +1/+1 counters on her for this one, because her next part says whenever an artifact you control is put into the graveyard, aka your treasures, your foods, and your clues, are put in the battlefield, the target opponent loses life equal to the Marionette Master's power. So if you don't put the 3 +1/+1 counters on her, you're only going to be dealing 1 each time an artifact is the graveyard. But if you do, then you're going to be dealing 4, which is an absurd amount of damage, plus with what your commander can do and all the other damage triggers. Last card we're going to talk about is a different type of damage trigger. It's kind of like well, it's not a damage trigger, it's more just like a secondary commander in the deck, and that's Jury Master of the Review. It's a 1 black, 1 red for a 1/1 human shaman. And whenever an artifact, or whenever you sacrifice a permanent, you may put a +1/+1 counter on them. So sacrificing treasure, sacrificing creatures, whatever, +1/+1 counter on this dude. And whenever he dies, it deals damage equal to its power to any target. So this can get rid of a creature if you need it to, but it's also really good at just getting rid of the last player or the most powerful player at the time. But yeah, so that's it, and we got one more category after this one. So the final category of this video is bringing back. So your commander has to die, unfortunately, for her final ability to go off. And when your commander dies, you have to pay taxes, and nobody likes taxes. Boo, taxes. So we're gonna have you play cards that allow you to bring back your commander upon death, or just bring it back from the graveyard pretty easily. The first card we are talking about is Chthonian Nightmare. It's pretty much a standard printing of Reoccurring Nightmare, which is a banned card on the reserve list. But when it enters the battlefield, you get 3 energy, and you may pay X energy, sacrifice a creature, and you return this to its owner's hand, and return target creature card with mana value X from your graveyard to the battlefield. Lucky for us, our commander is 3 mana. We get 3 energy for this entering, so this is gonna be like a pretty useful thing and a pretty regular thing that we could do as long as it doesn't get trashed from our hand. The next card is an instant speed one that's quite simple. It's not dead after all. 1 black for an instant. Until the end of the turn, target creature you control gains whenever this creature dies and returns to the battlefield tapped under its owner's control with a wicked roll attached to it. The wicked roll is just a +1/+1, but that helps you build your commander's power higher. And then whenever this aura is put into the graveyard, each opponent loses 1 life. It'd be pretty funny if everybody was at 1 life, or your opponents are at 1 life, and this wicked roll finished them off. Next card is an enchantment. Kaya's Ghost Form, 1 black for an enchantment aura. Enchanted creature or planeswalker you control. And when enchanted permanent dies or is exiled, return that card to the battlefield under your control. This will return it from death or exile. Sadly, exile, you won't be able to use your opponent's commander's ability, but at least it will come back and you can restart the clock. Next card is kind of like the not dead after all. It is Feign Death for 1 black. It's an instant until the end of the turn. Target creature gains when this creature dies. Return to the battlefield tapped under control with a +1/+1 counter on it. It's pretty similar to the Wicked Roll one, but the +1/+1 counter is still pretty much the same. Last card is Lich Knight's Conquest. 4 colorless and a black. Sorcery speed, but you can sacrifice any number of artifacts, enchantments, and or tokens. The whole time you're going to be making a bunch of them. And you return that many creature cards from your graveyard to the battlefield. And that will be your commander or any other useful creatures you have in the deck. That is all for today for the Deck Sesh for the Viceroy of Plunder. I think the deck's really cool. I don't actually have this deck built, but after making this Deck Sesh, I do kind of want to try it out. It seems you could definitely go infinity with it because of free sack outlets and shenanigans like that. If I did build it, I would definitely put in more ways to sack your commander, but that comes easy with the color scheme that you have, the red and black. Sacrificing creatures to draw cards, sacrifice creatures to gain treasures, yada yada yada. All of it kind of plays into the Rakdos territory. The deck just looks super fun. So let me know down below if you built this deck before or after this video. Let me know if you like it or how it does at your pod. And also, I hope you guys have a fantastic day. I'll see you at the next video.